Welcome to the Alive Loren Podcast and the place of celebrating juicy, soulful, whole living. And this is going to be quite adventurous, embracing all whole living, all sounds and noises and possible disturbances. I'm going to try this. I'm walking home from Salsa and it does pass quite a noisy road. So let's see how we go. Wow. So Salsa tonight was a bit of a different class. Where normally we get like specific moves that we're learning, this was very much more feel for like partner dancing. And yeah, it just reminded me also of improv and like connecting more to intuition. And it was just interesting because ultimately when he summed up the whole class, he was saying it's really about tuning into the music and less about the actual like fancy steps, and tuning into like the music and the beat and your partner, like to try to get a sense of like where you're moving together. Yeah, so it was very interesting because it was very different, but lots and lots of fun. Yeah, sure. So I think actually they cycle through a certain set module of lessons, and I think I may have joined it somewhere in the middle. But nonetheless, a few things that were in my space recently. So I'm so grateful for people journeying with me on this like sharing of Mickey Singer's Untethered Soul. So we're on chapter 3 and we have a once a week share. And then we've got another group where we've just started something on WhatsApp, also with the same chapter, but just kind of time-wise it didn't work out for us to all be like on a call together. So why does this road look so unfamiliar? No, I am in the right place. So what really strikes me with this current chapter, it's really this theme of asking, like, who am I? Like, who are you? Who are you? And actually just becoming aware of normally what people answer to that in terms of people answer like their name. You know, they give your name, like, who are you? Your name isn't your identity, it's more just like your label. Or then think about the things you say when somebody asks, who are you? You normally, or sometimes you give yourself in reference to other people, like your role, whether you're someone's business partner or relationship partner or sibling or or parent or child of, or we give ourselves in relation to a story of what's happened in our lives, or like or a body, but our bodies change, and it's just kind of crazy to really contemplate when you really think about it and just keep asking, like, who am I? And ultimately, like, it really comes down to being the witness. I don't think this is I may have to just pause right now. They seem to be doing some road work, so you're going to have to come back to this, who am I? Okay, so I made it across this big like intersection with a whole lot of mad, crazy stuff going on. But yeah, that's a good thing about like just being grateful for taxes being used to construct roads that I can commute on and stuff like that. So back to who are we? And that we're not any of our labels or our stories and just to become like mindful, just become aware of it. And actually somewhere behind all of that sits this awareness. And this chapter, so cool, because Mickey like threads this idea of saying like if somebody held something outside, an outside world, a pen, a phone, and asked you like, are you that pen? Are you this phone? Like it's so obvious in the outside world, you're not something you observe. You're observing the thing, it's not you. But like equally in our inside world, like we've got emotional objects and we've got mental objects. And they're not us, and how our attention can get drawn and really just shifts and moves between all of these. It's so crazy. He gives like an example of like watching like a cute dog playing and you're so like enamored with the dog. So that's one thing on the outside. And then all of a sudden you hear like the sound of a rattlesnake behind you. Now all of a sudden like this fear welling up inside, like the outside dog. Now you've got that emotional object on the inside. Yo. So it was just to actually like watch ourselves in the day from all these things. That equally, just as obviously as I'm not a pen or a phone or a pair of shoes on the outside, I'm not any of my emotions or my thoughts. Like none of the emotional or mental objects on the inside are also just things like I'm observing. Wow. Yeah. So I'm generally pretty visual learner, so I did this thing that kind of looks like a dartboard. And in the very center is this like just pure awareness, this isness, this like consciousness that's aware of everything, that awareness. And then from there, having these like darts, like target rings going out. So then there's 2 rings for inside. So the very inside is the awareness, the actual like who we are ultimately. And then as you go concentric out, you've got your thought objects, that first ring, and then a ring out, like the emotional objects, and then a ring out, the outside worlds and all the physical objects. And I've just found that like really amazing to be with and ponder with and to become conscious of where my mind is going, and like, is that me? Or that's just something that I get to like observe. Wow. The other day also chatted about that analogy of being like a guest at life's party. And then there was like a strong theme for me of being grateful for the opportunity to be at the party or like to be at the concert, no matter what. But there's also like, if you were invited somewhere, like really amazing and magical, there'd also be this like, if you're a guest, of wanting to be respectful and like you're so grateful that you do want to take care of the space because someone is generously sharing with you like their space. So yeah, after sharing that, it's kind of like pondering around that, and yeah, that layer came up for me that definitely I would also be like mindful to want to honor and respect the space, because if someone is sharing it with me, so kind of treading lightly, which kind of plays a little bit into a different theme of hearing this quote about like some indigenous Indian populations where the leader would like make decisions with thinking to like 7 generations into the future. Not that like, it's playing into a different area, but it's more just that sensitivity to the actions and steps or something that get taken now and the impact, not just like an instant gratification. And on that theme, I'm really grateful for things like salsa, just teaching, just being a physical experience of staying the process and investing time, effort to just become more familiar. And that with that practice grows the connection and the ease, and all of that is like the delayed reward. Oh, and that's the last thing I'm going to share tonight is, so Donna McCallum on one of the audios that I'm listening to from her like money series was talking about, when you do like you work towards a goal or you've got something, whether it's a savings goal or something like to enjoy, almost likening it to a mountain. And I know it's a very obvious analogy and many people use it, but it was just, if you're going to take all the effort to like walk up a mountain, to actually just enjoy the view of when you get there. And I'm wondering if the store is already closed. It said it closed at 11 on the app. It looks like there are people still in there. But this is my final thing, that there's always going to be like a new mountain. It just reminded me as well of like Tony Robbins with the ultimate 2 human needs that create a sense of satisfaction are contribution and growth. And that if somebody just like helicoptered someone up to a mountaintop, like yes, it's a great, amazing experience, but like if someone actually hiked for like a whole day to get to that top, there'd be a whole sort of different level of appreciation. So I think, things that sort of come naturally to people versus like with salsa, one of the guys was saying he'd really like to just get to this place where he's not thinking about it so much, and some people just intuitively can connect to the music, but yet like the person who has to really invest time, energy and effort to get to a place of more fluidity actually appreciates it probably on a whole different level. So, precious heart, this was quite a mixed bag, but here is to just embracing process for the joy of ultimately like the progress we make through the investment of time, energy, effort, enthusiasm, openness, like pushing and continuing through frustration and bored moments and all of that, for the reward of actually making our own personal progress, and a sensitivity for being guests at life's party, and gratitude for even the noisy, irritating stuff, and being mindful of who we are, actually like letting that percolate, or like a tea bag, like letting that soak and simmer and brew, and see what comes up for you. Wishing you happy adventuring, precious soul. Mwah.